What is up, basketball fans, and welcome back to Zero Gravity, where we're going to break down the entire trade deadline, probably the craziest trade deadline, not deadline day, but trade deadline of all time, you could say, in the NBA. Wild trade deadline. Can't wait to get into it, but before we get into it, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Big City Wings, Houston's Wing Joint, Apollo's Wing Joint. Go check them out today if you're in the Houston area, and go check them out Saturday. This Saturday, the Mavericks are taking on the Rockets in Dallas, but we'll be at J Bar M in Houston, 2 blocks away from the Toyota Center. It's a great time. They got great barbecue, great food. It's all the best at J Bar M. And they got like $16 bottomless mimosas. If you're into that, it's going to be brunch time, 2:00. So meet me and the Apollo crew over at J Bar M Barbecue this Saturday, February 8th. We'll be there to watch the Mavericks and Rockets. I'll probably be the only Mavericks fan there, and that's okay. I'm going to power through. There. But February 8th, this Saturday at J Bar M Barbecue, we will be there. Apollo Media will be there. Let's have a good time, and shout out to Zing Zang, a new sponsor. Welcome back to Zing Zang. They were on with us in 22 and 21. They're back for the rest of the year. Shout out to Zing Zang. We love their margarita mix. We love their Bloody Mary mix. We shout out their spicy Bloody Mary mix. It's delicious. So go check out Zing Zang at wherever you get your mixers. You can get them at Target. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at HEB. You can get them at the liquor store. You can get them wherever. So shout out to Zing Zang, J Bar M, and Big City Wings. Sheldon, welcome back. How are we doing?
Hey, man. Doing good. I have been, to my shame, glued to the Shams notifications, glued to my phone, having to constantly remind myself to close extra Twitter browsers and stuff like that. So a little relieved it's over, but also it's been a blast. Wouldn't trade it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it started really last week and just kept going for days. Kevin Durant was thrown into trade rumors. There was speculation about Devin Booker for the Rockets. Like maybe they just make a Godfather offer, give all the picks back. It was getting really chaotic there for the last 24 hours of it, but ultimately, the last few hours of it weren't all too stunning. But the days leading into it were the craziest of all time. Obviously, we had the Luka episode on Sunday. I'm recovering. I'm getting there.
Good.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, especially when one of the main player that you trade for, doesn't play in a basketball game yet. And is hurt. Do we just want to talk about Nico real quick and the press conference and everything that we haven't talked about yet?
I think we need to. I'll say it to you, I think we're all kind of recovering. You're recovering from deep emotional pain and betrayal, and the rest of us are recovering from that strange, just dopamine high from seeing something so shocking and crazy. So yeah, we kind of came back down to earth, but thankfully not too dramatically. The Nico press conference was hilarious. I don't remember if he said this in the conference or if it just came out through reports later, but the whole Mamba mentality thing being one of the reasons why he wasn't like nervous to pull the trigger on the trade. And I was telling someone yesterday, I was like, when I think about players who have like that killer instinct Mamba mentality, Luka is like upper echelon players I'm afraid of whenever my team's playing them.
He's number one.
Yeah, probably. I mean, when it comes to just like, he's going to make it happen, probably.
Yes. Like, do you remember when he was, I don't know, I think he's 20 years old, and he's in the playoffs in the bubble, and he's at a timeout and they're down 2 or whatever, and they need a 3 to win it, 2 to tie it. And Luka's sitting there at the timeout, not even paying attention to the coaches, the players, or anything. He's flipping a water bottle, and then comes out and hits that dagger. Yes. He's doing the water bottle challenge. He's just flipping it on the bench in the bubble, then comes out and hits a 3 to win the game right after it. Like, unbelievable that he used the Mamba mentality as like an excuse to get out of this trade. That didn't make any sense to me.
And then he predicted his own burial.
Yeah, that was. He's like, in 10 years, me and Jay are going to be buried, talking about Jason Kidd. And I'm like,
yeah. Jason Kidd was like, hey, buddy, keep my name out your mouth.
Like, maybe I want to keep doing this for 10 more years after that. Like, maybe he wants to be a coach like Pat Riley was forever and ever and ever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bleak. But hey, you got to see Luka in a Lakers jersey, so that's fun.
he didn't. I thought he was going to look really bad in a Lakers uniform, like
He looked normal.
his body composition, his skin tone, and everything. I was very concerned about that. I was like, poor Luca, man. Like he looked decent in a Mavericks uniform. Like he was fine. And there's a few uniforms across the league that he might look better in. I don't know, but that one I was really concerned with. The yellow, I thought he was going to look bigger. He looks pretty slim. He looks normal.
Yeah. Yeah, slim relative to a 6'7" guy or
Yeah,
whatever
6'7",
he is.
240. Like he's
Yeah.
not 270
He definitely
by
did
the
not look
looks of him.
270. Yeah, it's just like it almost gets worse and worse, honestly. So I'm hoping you can
Yep.
get to a point to where you're just, rooting against Nico, and other than that, you can move on. So
Max Christie is
yeah,
unbelievable.
he looks
I
solid.
love the guy.
He's a steal of the trade.
Maybe if Anthony Davis just comes in and starts averaging 27 and 12 with a few blocks and starts winning a bunch of games for us, then it's Anthony Davis for sure. But Max Christie right now, he looks awesome. He had an awesome game to start off, and then he's having a really good game against Boston right now. We're up 8 with 7.9 seconds left. Not a big deal. He's actually at the free
Yeah, I
throw
just
line.
want
I am
to.
watching this. It is Thursday, February 6th at 8:45 p.m. I'm finishing the game right now.
Yeah, you should be. I just want to be clear. I was totally joking about Max Christie. The steal of the trade is Luka Doncic, no matter what.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, just
Always
making
and
sure we're
forever.
on the same page.
Yeah. But I mean, if Max Christie's going to be really good and he's your sixth man off the bench, or if he ends up starting later on down the road and Anthony Davis plays well, then whatever. Like I'm going to get over it eventually.
Yeah.
But it's still unbelievably hard to just think about having a franchise guy that did not want to leave Dallas. Like his goodbye to Dallas on Sunday night when I was at the Stars game, it was right before puck drop too. Like the statement he put out, I was in shambles right before the Stars game started in the press box. But where he's like, I thought it's been my whole career here. Loyalty means a lot to me, whatever. Like he was Dirk almost reincarnated, but more savage and just probably meaner than Dirk was. Like Dirk was savage in his own way, let the game talk for himself, but Luka would talk shit to everyone. Like it was a different version of having Dirk again. And if he was planning on playing here for 15, 20 years and retiring, like get the one championship, the jersey goes in the rafters, all of those emotions are just gone now. Like you can't even think about it because if you do, like you're just going to be sad.
Yeah, you'll just ruin yourself.
Yeah.
You got to cut that out and just bury it somewhere far, far away.
We just beat Boston for the first time since like 2021 or 2022 in Boston. So that helps.
Like as we speak?
Helps. Yeah, just ended 127 to 120. So I can close
there
that.
There you go.
So winning helps. I'll take it. Sure. Whatever. I'll see you Saturday. Not you, but the rest of the Rockets crew in Apollo. I'll wear something Mavericks related. It'll be fine. Another just massive trade that happened though. One that we saw coming. One that
we have to talk about it.
We knew it was coming for about a week. We have a Spurs fan, Eric. He's a prospect for Apollo Media now, so we're diversifying. We got all three teams covered now. Two guys are on one end, and then everybody else is on the Rocket side. But we got two guys. De'Aaron Fox traded to San Antonio. We've been talking about this for months, really, since last year when Wemby was playing. We're like, can we get him like Trae Young or De'Aaron Fox? That'd be fun.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. I watched the game last night. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Double in your debut when you have like mid-20s and 13 assists or something like that.
Yeah, it was 24 and 13, I think, is what he ended up with. Yeah, pretty decent debut. First Spurs to have a double-double on his debut, I believe.
Oh, wow. That's pretty surprising, actually.
Or point guard to have a double-double with assists and points, I think is what it was. I don't know.
That makes more sense.
They put it on ESPN last night. I didn't really pay that much attention.
You're like, I didn't write it down.
No.
They got a lot more dangerous in the near future. When I say near future, I mean like, the next couple years.
Yeah.
I'm not super worried about the Spurs right now making a big push in the West just because they're not deep enough. They're a little too young. So their top end talent will be super good, and then there will be a drop off, and that always kills you in the playoffs at some point. Probably make the play in.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's nothing against them. They made absolutely the right move, especially for what they gave up. You make that move in your sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they looped the Bulls into this somehow, and Zach LaVine goes back to Sacramento.
Yeah,
Um, the Bulls got like their own first round pick back out of it from someone. I don't remember who.
which I think
Some
was protected. So
Yeah. So now they have their own first round pick, which great because they're either going to be in the play-in or the bottom end of the lottery, like mid mid round in the first round, and then two more firsts. Well, it was really three firsts, but one of the first is going to be
two
Charlotte's
seconds.
first round pick, and I think it's top 10 protected. So that's
It's
probably
higher
not going
than
to
that.
happen. Really?
I think it's lottery protected.
Oh, then yeah, that you're not getting that pick. So that will end up turning into 2 seconds over the next two seasons. So they really got two first round picks and 5 second round picks, which isn't a horrible return. Like it's pick wise, it's better than the Luka trade. So if you can compare it to that, then yeah, you did all right. And if Fox wasn't going to be happy in Sacramento, wasn't going to sign the extension, you get rid of him. He goes to the place he wanted to go. He's back in Texas. He's back home in a different place in Texas, but it's still Texas. So good for De'Aaron Fox. Bad for
Yeah.
Sacramento. I get like I don't that doesn't move me at all. Levine and a bunch of firsts. Like you're putting DeRozan and Levine back together. It's like
You
it didn't
know,
work the last time in the
yeah,
East.
yeah, that's true. They're not, they're going to be the Kings.
Yeah,
They'll be middling, but I do think there's at least some potential for entertainment with the dribble handoffs
sure.
with Levine and DeRozan and now Malik Monk. Like, there's probably not going to be a lot of organization in their offense, but there's a lot of potential for like flamethrower games and stuff like that. So they'll sell tickets to people in Sacramento, and I'll tune in. But yeah, they didn't really do anything. They just reverted themselves back to being the pre-Fox Kings, basically.
Pretty much. So weird. San Antonio gets their point guard to pair up with Wemby, which is absolutely what
Yeah,
they needed to do. Stephon Castle, he's going to end up getting better. He's already pretty fun to watch, but he's not polished in any way, shape, or form right now in the NBA. But he's still a good player, and he's going to develop. And in the offseason, you see what happens. Like, you're going to have money coming off the books. You have more picks. Like, you could go get another guy to pair up with Wemby and Fox, and it'll be a lot more fun next year. But for this year, I think play-in is the move. Like, they're just trying to get a little bit of high danger basketball in Wemby's system, like a little bit of
yeah,
playoff esque basketball. If they don't make it out of the play in, if they make it out of the play in, then sure, whatever. Then they get a playoff series out of it. And that's a huge step from last season where they were just not good. But I watched the Hawks game against them last night, and their defense without Wemby on the floor is horrendous. And even with Wemby on the floor, it's not good unless they go towards the paint. Then Wemby can control it. But other
yeah,
than that, it's not a good defensive team. So they won't make it too far this year.
yeah, yeah. And then the Bulls literally get like nothing for just to get off Levine, basically.
Yep.
Again, they got their pick back, but I'm pretty sure it's protected to where they probably would have ended up in the spot to get it to keep it anyway. Which I guess is better than them having to send a pick to get Levine off to get off his
Yeah.
contract. But I don't know. I feel like the Levine thing has become so like blown out of proportion, just as like contracts have aged. And it's still
He's
a
gotten
negative, I guess, but he's really good. Like he's pretty
he's
good.
been a lot better this year than he has in the last 2 years,
Yeah.
probably. So
Yeah. It's definitely been a bounce back season, and he's still not like the picture of health. He's missed some games here and there, stuff like that. But I don't know.
yeah.
He's a good player, and so it stinks for Chicago, but it's their fault. But it stinks that they have to. That's the way it
Chicago.
turns out. But
Chicago and Sacramento, they're just the same team in different
yeah,
conferences.
basically, yeah. But
It's
Wemby
gross.
Fox pick and roll and them just wreaking havoc together, like Fox fast breaks with Wemby following up, running the court is going to be electric.
And Chris
I
Paul,
hate that I have to. I hate that the basketball fan in me has to like compartmentalize it because it's the Spurs. But
yeah. And Chris Paul was like deferring to Fox last night too. He was letting Fox bring the ball up. He's like, "You go run, buddy. Like have a blast." Like,
yeah,
so I thought that was cool.
yeah,
Chris Paul is a
he's a
point
pro's
guard.
pro.
He's the point guard and all that kind of stuff. So it was fun to watch that. I think that dynamic is really fun, but they're not going to be an exceptional team this year. We'll go back to the Mavericks for just a second here. Caleb Martin got traded to the Dallas Mavericks from the Philadelphia 76ers. He's been out with injury for a while. They sent Quentin Grimes, who's been really good this year, but they couldn't come to a contract resolution in the offseason. So instead of dealing with an RFA, they just get a guy with term that kind of does roughly the same things and is a little bit bigger than Quentin Grimes. Like, it's another wing that shoots threes a little bit and then can go off some games, whatever. Older,
Yeah, he's
more
also a
money.
little worse.
He's worse. It's like 1 point less points per game, and they have around the same shooting splits. So it was a weird trade. I didn't understand it. They sent Grimes in a second, and they were supposed to get Martin in a second back. They ended up getting 2 seconds out of it because Martin has a hip injury and he's out for another 2 to 3 weeks reportedly. So
yeah, no timetable apparently.
That's what Underdog put out, and then another reporter put out 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay,
like a Dallas.
Is that for reevaluation though?
No, I think he's supposed to be back in 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, that's good. That makes it way better.
Yeah,
still
it's
not
still
great,
just
but
a
better.
Weird trade when you don't have depth this week or next week, basically, because players are either hurt or going through the trades, like losing some of your depth, your shooting guard coming off the bench. It's not ideal, but whatever. And then with that trade, we were $173,000 away from the luxury tax, or the first apron, I guess. So they were unable to make any more moves unless they traded people, which they apparently did. Tried to for Kevin Durant. They made a big push for it, and it didn't work. Yeah. According to Ian Bagley of I don't know what he is at now. He was in New York. He was covering the Knicks for a while. I don't know what he does now. But yeah, he was talking about that on his show today. So I don't know. Weird trade. And then you can't get any buyout players now because you're that close to the first apron, and you can't go over it with a buyout player. So that's sick. So this is the team, boys. This is the team.
Yeah, the buyout stuff is really interesting. I didn't realize until this deadline that teams already in the apron can't bring on buyout players at all. And then I guess, yeah, if it makes you exceed the apron.
So you can
that
sign
changes things a lot.
10-day deal, like a veteran can sign a 10-day deal like at the end of the season, the last 10 days of the season, and then they would be eligible for the postseason. That's the only way any team that's either in the aprons or right up against one of the aprons can get a buyout player this year.
Wow.
It's weird. It's weird.
That is weird.
The other team of the Mavericks-Lakers trade, the Lakers, they got Mark Williams for Luka.
Come on.
Yeah, they got Mark Williams from Charlotte for Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, and a 2031 first and a 2030 pick swap. Nico Harrison's incompetence of just not bearing down and be like, you're getting Luka out of this, like just give me Knecht and the extra first, and then we'll call it a day, is insane. But Charlotte gets another young guy to stay where Charlotte is. They trade Mark Williams, who's really good on offense and not great on defense.
Yeah. Not healthy either.
No, not healthy. He's missed 59.9% of his NBA games in his career.
Yeah. Not good. I mean, if you're the Lakers, you take that gamble.
He wanted to alley-oop big is all it really was, Luka. So,
yeah. And I saw some Charlotte fans saying that his injury history is a little overblown, that it was like one injury that kind of compounded and he's like been working through, which, you know, we're Astros fans. We know what it's like to have one injury that sidelines you for a long, long time, multiple times.
The discomfort curse. Yeah.
That's right. Right elbow discomfort. Yeah, we know what that means, buddy. Just get the surgery.
We're familiar.
Yeah. So, yeah. So apparently it's something like that, a bone spur, which also we would understand. But yeah, it's just like if you're the Lakers and you've got an aging LeBron and you just struck Luka Doncic, you're like, well, why not? Like, Dalton Knecht is older than Mark Williams, which is my favorite angle of all of these trades.
I didn't see that.
Funny. Yeah, he's like a year or two older. I think it's just 1 year.
Okay.
And so they get Mark Williams. They ship off their solid rookie that's older than him. And who's the other player they sent with?
Cam Reddish. So
Cam Reddish, which is is just
10th guy on the bench or a G League player. So
yeah, salary guy.
Whatever.
So yeah, and that pick that Nico should have told Pelinka, you're not getting Luka unless I get this. And apparently Rob was like, well, look, man, you told me he's fat. You told me he can't stay on the court and he's just pounding 6-packs every road trip. I'm going to need this pick to make it worth my while.
I would have,
you know what? You're right.
I would have honestly just been like, if you give me the pick and not Knecht, like you can take Knecht out of it. give me the pick. I would have been like, all right,
Sure.
at least we have more draft capital now because apparently we're all in, so we need more draft capital to go trade for other players. Like, if that's
Yeah.
where we're at, might as well get the extra pick and lose Connect. Like, I'd be fine with that. But no, we didn't get either of those. And they got a swap out of it in Charlotte. Like, they got a 30 swap and a 31 pick. Like, unprotected.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess Charlotte is officially. We already knew they were, but they're like without a doubt in the capture the flag sweepstakes. And then the Lakers get
I'd
their
be so
lob
mad.
guy, but still a layup line defense. Like
It's going to be horrendous,
I
but it's going
got
to be
I got
so cool on
questions.
offense.
Yeah. Now I've heard a lot of people talk. We talk about these guys who get traded away. Kyle Kuzma, Mark Williams were both examples of guys who like pretty much play no defense or haven't really been very good. Now they're both on competitive teams. And so the question is, does that change anything? It's like, maybe.
No?
But
Like,
it's like most
no?
of defense, a significant portion of defense is effort. And it's like if the whole
Yes.
team is giving the effort, that makes it a lot easier to keep doing it. And it makes it easier to hide guys who maybe aren't as skilled. So I can see that angle of it. But when it's like you've got this team with two guys who have terrible defensive habits and you add a center who is just really struggling to defend, I just can't really see that being the conditions to just turn it on.
Yeah, I think
You
JJ
know?
Redick's going to be really mad a lot of the time on defense, and he's going to be so happy on offense just because you have
Yeah.
Luka and like you have the two supercomputers on offense.
He's literally gonna be the meme of the guy, the two people on the bus. One guy's looking toward the
Yes, the
the
whole
sun
game.
and the other guy's looking. Yeah, it's just him
It's
on
just him
offense and
sitting
defense.
he's standing in the aisle, and his eyes are going either way, the opposite way. That's what it's going
Yeah.
to be.
We're gonna need that. We need someone to get on that.
Yeah, the last kind of bigger one before we get to the biggest one that happened yesterday. Kyle Kuzma and Chris Middleton swap places. And Chris Middleton's he's stuck in Washington now. Washington's like, we're going to hold on to him. Like,
Poor guy.
why? Why would you do that to him? Like, he doesn't
Well,
need to do that.
he needs to mentor Bub Carrington.
Sure. When you just get a quick minute on Kuzma and Middleton. Like, Middleton's just off the die now in Washington, and Kuzma, I don't know if you're getting necessarily better, but you're getting at least consistent play out of the guy. Like, he's not been hurt for the last 2 seasons, so that's good.
Yeah, he exists.
He definitely plays basketball on a very consistent level.
Yeah, and he's having like one of his worst shooting years.
His
So
worst by far. He's
that's a
91st
very
out of the 93 players in the NBA that take 12 shots or more
good.
in a game. He's 91st out of those 93
Yeah.
this season in field goal percentage. So that's good.
Yeah, contrast that with Middleton, who is shooting like above 40% from three. But I get it. Like he's kind of dust at this point physically.
Yeah.
And he's older and stuff like that. And Giannis, stabbed his friend in the back, his little buddy, to get Kyle Kuzma. Oh man.
It's
And
Giannis and Brook Lopez are like the last two guys, and from the title, right? Is that it?
I think so.
Was Bobby Portis there?
He was. Yeah.
Okay,
So Bobby's
then it's
still
those
there.
three, the big three. Bobby Portis.
That's right. We call everything the big three now.
Yep, sure do. We have to
I
get
know
to
we
that
were.
too.
Yeah, we were gonna kind of brush past this one later on, I'm sure, but the fact that we've got Kevin Porter Jr. and Kyle Kuzma on the same team is just like the most drunk watching experience possible. Just disgusting.
I'm now realizing that.
Yeah.
That's gross.
It's just not good. Kyle Kuzma might be a fine person.
He's good as a number 3. Like, he was good. Won a championship.
Well, no, I just mean like as a human. Like he might be okay.
Yeah,
Kevin Porter Jr., we've got reasons to seriously doubt that.
Yeah.
But on the court, they're both just like hooper chaos. It's nuts. So we'll see. Kuzma, I think, is going to be much better for them than KPJ. But
yeah, he should be.
Weird move.
It's very strange. The biggest, I don't know if it's a shock, but it was kind of shocking that it actually happened. I was on FaceTime with someone and it happened. I was like, hold on, I've got a tweet. Like, I got to
hold on, I've got a tweet.
And give me a second here. All right, pal. Yeah, Jimmy Butler. It finally happened. This is the last time that we will talk about a Jimmy Butler saga for this season, unless something drastic between him and Draymond Green happened. But Jimmy Butler goes to Golden State Warriors for Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a first-round pick. The Heat get out of the Jimmy Butler business and in that drama, thank God, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. And Jimmy Butler goes to
Yep.
the Bay to play with Steph Curry and Draymond Green. This team is still not good. So
Yeah. They're concerning, even like that's how I felt about this deadline in general. Is like a lot of teams or a few teams made some big moves that I don't feel like really made them that much better.
yeah,
Obviously, we've got one like super big winner in the long term, but outside of that, it's like a bunch of teams who are just like fighting for their lives to remain relevant.
yeah,
Made a move that's going to make them like, I don't know, maybe 2 spots better at best.
maybe like they might still
Maybe.
just be
Yeah.
in the play-in, and they just gave Jimmy Butler an extension, so he voided his player option and
Yeah.
gave him a 2-year extension, so he will be there for 2.5 seasons, and got 121 million extra dollars out of it. So good for him.
Yeah. I think I did see that the 121 was a typo, but either way, whether it's 112 or 121, that's more
Okay.
than $50 million for a guy who's going to be 37 in a couple years.
Yep.
So him and Steph are going to be making like $120 million, just the two of them, to be 37 years old
Hmm. Hmm.
and just running around.
That's
So,
too. You just hate to see a dynasty like this crumble. It's too bad.
oh man, yeah, I feel so bad for them. I
Real
light a candle every night for the Steve Kerr Warriors. I cry a little bit every time I see them because they've lived such a pitiful life.
been out of shape about it, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we don't have to talk about Jimmy Butler trade news anymore. Glad that's over with, at least for half a season or more.
Can you imagine if he would have stayed with the Heat, how much longer we would have had to stick with the news? Like, this is better for us. This is better for everyone.
It's so much better for everyone because apparently he was reportedly ready to just like come back and fold back into the team and just play basketball. I'm just like, why?
Then, then how did we get here then?
Yeah, that would have been miserable. But that's over, so we don't have to talk about that too much because that doesn't change the landscape for Golden State. I think Miami might be better because of it, just because they don't have to deal with Jimmy Butler each and every day with the press and in the locker room and all that kind of stuff, even though he wasn't in the locker room for the last month, basically. And you get Andrew Wiggins out of it, who's a pretty decent player and a first-round pick. So it's like maybe they're a little bit better. I don't think they're going to be drastically better, but they're not
Yeah,
dealing
I
with
mean,
anything, and they got a good player out of it.
they got like a few. They, I think the Heat are kind of a sneaky team in the East. I don't. I mean, when I say sneaky, I'm not saying they're like going to make it to the finals or even the
No,
conference finals, but they're like
like
a
an upset first
feisty.
round kind of
Yeah,
thing.
they're a
Yeah,
feisty little team. You know, Tyler Hero's for real. Adebayo's picking it up a little bit. We know what he can be, so it's like
yeah,
there's reasons to believe the first half is not who he really is.
yeah. So
Andrew Wiggins, he's replacing Jimmy, and in a vacuum, that's bad. But considering Jimmy wasn't playing,
that's a
and
win.
Wiggins is a better shooter, less, there's less going on outside of basketball there. And then Kyle Anderson's not nothing. Like, they're just keeping him basically because they have to, like doing the Raptors a favor, or I guess really the Warriors a favor.
Yeah.
And then Davion Mitchell, and then they've got their other guys who are kind of promising. So they'll probably punch someone in the mouth and make it an interesting series.
Did they get PJ Tucker too?
You know, I think they did for a hot second. I think he's in Toronto now. He was in the Davion Mitchell trade.
Okay, got it. That was very confusing. They told us everything, and then all of a sudden they were going to send slow mo and someone else and Schroeder, I think, to Toronto, and then that fell through for whatever reason, and then they just ended up keeping him. Where's Schroeder now? Is he in Detroit?
So yes, he's in Detroit now. I'm trying to think. He's been traded like so many times. He ended up on the Jazz at one point,
Yeah, he went.
and
Yeah,
they ended up including him. I think they ended up rerouting him to Detroit in this trade because
yes.
Detroit also got Lindy Waters and someone else in this too.
There we go. Yeah, very complicated trade that I don't think anyone really still understands yet. So we'll figure that out next week. That's next week's problem. We'll figure that out
Yeah,
before
that's a
the trade
fallout
deadline.
question.
That's a post trade deadline, post maybe All Star break kind of. Oh, that's what happened. Got it. Um, Other moves throughout the there was a lot of just way too many stars, relative stars moving in this trade deadline.
Yeah,
Haven't seen
way too many
anything like this.
names.
Just haven't seen anything like this at all.
Never.
So this was fun. Brandon Ingram traded again.
Yeah.
He goes to Toronto for Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk, a first round pick and a second round pick. I believe he's an expiring this year, so Toronto puts him with Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly. It's like, okay, all
Yeah,
right.
I saw
I don't.
someone say
Eh.
that. I think it was Esfandir Beraheni. He said like this is the fourth year in a row that the Raptors have traded for someone at the deadline who was a pending free agent.
That's strange.
Yeah, and
They
last year,
just,
so they did it with Pirtle. Then they ended up re-signing him or signing him to an extension or something like that, or maybe
yep.
Pirtle's about to be a free agent this year, whatever it was. They traded a first for him, and then they just traded a first and salary and stuff to get Ingram. This was like the ultimate mid-off trade to me.
Well, I mean, Bruce Brown just hasn't been good since he left.
Yeah, not he can't get on the court either.
That too is a real problem. I think Kelly Olynyk's fine. Like he's a decent depth piece to have if he's your backup forward or whatever. Like you're fine with that. That's okay. But giving
Yeah,
up a first and a second round pick and Kelly Olynyk, you can include Bruce Brown for salary or whatever. But like to get Brandon Ingram in Toronto, where I think Josh is pretty high on Toronto. Like he loves Scotty Barnes and he just likes their systems and all that
sure.
kind of stuff. I am like the lowest on Toronto. Like out of the teams that are play-in slash fringe playoff teams in the East, like Toronto's like my least favorite team out of that bunch, and this doesn't do it for me. Like this doesn't make me think you're going to be better because of it. I think you're just going to be doing the same exact thing that you've been doing this whole season.
Yeah, I think it's weird when a team makes a trade for a guy like Brandon Ingram. You know, that's a trade that you would expect a team of the caliber of like the Bucks to make.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's constraints and reasons why they can't do it, but you know, a team that needs a guy to be the third guy or something like that.
Yeah. Would you rather have
And
Ingram or Kuzma if you're the
I
Bucks?
mean, I would rather just stay put,
Right.
honestly. But yes, if I had to pick Brandon Ingram,
Yeah.
so there's got to be something else going on there. They gave up less to get Kuzma, so
That's fair.
that's part of it. But yeah, this is just like a weird move for the Raptors to make. We talked about like the Kings and Bulls feels like something they would do. It doesn't make them good enough for it to be a reason to give up a first.
No, not at all. So weird trade. Another fun trade though in the East. DeAndre Hunter goes
Yeah.
from Atlanta to Cleveland for Chris Levert, Georges Niang, and 3 second-round picks and 2 swaps. I'm unsure of what the swaps are. Are they first-round picks or second-round swaps? Like that was never clarified in Shams' tweet.
Um
So
yeah,
I
I
would
won't
assume that's second-round picks.
I think the initial report was that they were seconds,
Okay.
but I didn't follow it that closely once all the details started coming out.
Like he's just said 2 swaps. Like that was the end of the sentence, and I'm just like, swaps of
Yeah.
what? Did
I guess
like
most of the time people mean first when they say that, but that would kind of feel like a lot for the
that
players
would feel like
involved.
a whole lot for DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah.
But DeAndre Hunter goes to Cleveland. Niang has been a fun player for Cleveland, and I think that's a interesting piece to give up for DeAndre Hunter. I don't know if he's gonna do things a little bit different. He's gonna be in the same role, I would assume, kind of a similar role to Levert and Niang. Like he's gonna come off the bench, he's gonna try to shoot threes and play good defense. Like it's an interesting trade. I don't hate it, but I don't know if I like it yet. I'm just going to have to see. Since you've been playing on an elite level, you were on pace to break the record essentially at one point for wins in a season. So breaking anything
Yeah.
up and changing the locker room dynamic is an interesting choice if you're not swinging for a bigger piece.
Yeah. I agree. I guess they felt like they needed some depth. You know, they've got bullied a little bit by the two teams that we would probably say are the two best teams in Boston and Oklahoma City, even though Boston can be a little schizophrenic every now and then.
Yep.
But
Tonight.
so I guess maybe they felt like they needed to beef up a little bit, get a solid 6-man type guy. But yeah, it felt like a weird trade they didn't necessarily need. And like you said, he's not that big of a difference maker. I think the biggest thing in this trade is I know that the Hawks were already, looking to get rid of Hunter, but now it seems like they're basically moving in a different direction. Like,
Yeah, I
because they
think they're
got rid of
calling it a
him.
day for this season.
Yeah. Which is
What it
tough
seems
for
like.
them since they don't have their pick.
Yeah, tanking for the Spurs is certainly a choice. I hope
Yeah,
they
I'm,
don't tank
I'm
too hard.
against it.
I hope they don't tank too hard. Another hawk, Bogdanovich, goes to LA.
Bogey.
Goes to LA. Not the Lakers.
Yeah.
He goes to the Clippers for Terrence Mann and Bones Highland. Sure.
Yeah, I like it for the Clippers.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Mann and Highland play a little bit of defense. Bogdanovich
Well,
does
not
not
Bones.
play. Well, he attempts. He has a wingspan, so we'll count
He
it.
exists.
Bogey doesn't play a ton of defense, and if he's going to be playing a lot of minutes with James Harden, I'm just curious to see how that works. I think the team's still really good, and they're a fun team to watch. And I think Bogey makes their offense even better.
Yeah.
The defense part of it now in the West, like I don't know who plays defense in the West really, other than OKC and y'all.
Yeah. I
And the
think in
Rockets.
their eyes, they're probably seeing Terrence Mann as a pretty replaceable player at this point. They've held on to him for so long, but I guess now they're finally being honest.
The playoff series broke them last year.
Yeah. And so from there, they're basically replacing two relatively useless players in Kevin Porter Jr. and Bones Highland with a guy who we've seen be a pretty good bucket getter, even though he's having a down year, but for most of his career. So I guess in their eyes, that's mostly the change they're making, and they're hoping that Kawhi, supplements the defense you're losing, whatever defense you're actually losing with Mann.
And whenever you can get Kawhi on the court consistently.
Yeah, right. But they have to at least pretend like that's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been pretending since 2019. So
yeah,
good for them. But yeah, Bogey goes to LA. I think that's going to be a fun offensive team. They've already been a fun offensive team. James Harden's been awesome. He's an all-star again.
Yeah.
So that's at least fun. Another team in the West made another move. The Suns traded for Cody Martin for Micic to the Hornets. So both Martin brothers are on the move. I don't know if they like that or hate that. Whatever.
Yeah.
But they got out of Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah, fine.
Just like, sure.
Yeah.
If you hated him that much.
Yeah, Cody Martin's he's a fine player. Micic, I don't know what he is. He doesn't seem like a lot to me, but maybe if he's in around superstars, it would be better. But it's a pretty mid superstar team.
Yeah, it's like the Suns are what the Mavericks are going to be next season. So I'm not looking forward to that. Just no depth in any way, shape, or form. And if Kevin Durant can't stay on the court for 70 plus games this season and Devin Booker can't carry your team and Bradley Beal's on your bench, it's like, I don't want to do that. I have no desire to do that. And I know it's happening. I know it's going to happen this offseason. Like we just tried to do it over the last 24 hours and it didn't happen. Like it's going to happen this offseason and it's going to be miserable to deal with. But yeah, the Suns just not having depth and the inability to have all three stars on their court where they have what, 150 million essentially in three players this season in salary. And you can't play all three of them at the same time, basically. It's a little brutal.
It's tough. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, Cody Martin to the Suns, sure. Dennis Schroeder, we already talked about it. He's played for every single team now.
He's going to play for every single team. He's the immaculate grid player.
Except for he's not, because everyone's
play?
going to guess him now that he's played for every single team. It's insane.
Well, yes, but that that's what I'm saying. When you're backed up against a wall and you need someone to play.
Schroeder
is Ish Smith
them,
the other guy?
I think so. Yeah, he's another good one.
So
but yeah, Schroeder, whatever.
right on the heels of accusing the NBA trade deadline of being equivalent to American or even just comparable to American slavery. He is just getting passed around. So read the room.
Last topic of the night: salary dumps. Marcus Smart. Where did he go? Did he go
Yeah.
to Washington?
Yep.
With a first round pick. They
That's
added up
right.
and they attached a first round pick to Marcus Smart. So the Grizzlies gave up 2 first round picks to get Marcus Smart, and then gave up another one to get off of Marcus Smart. So 3 first round picks in total traded for Marcus Smart, which is 3 too many, if you ask
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everyone is just so terrified of this tax, man. Which on one level, like I think that means, sorry. I think the CBA is scaring people and it annoys some fans because they want to see their team make these big moves. But as someone who wants to see parity in the league, I kind of like it right now.
It's
It doesn't
it's
affect
not the
me very much, so
same.
that's maybe why.
Yeah, and it's not the same as the NHL, where the NHL has a hard cap. So every team can either spend all of that money or $20 million less than the cap. Like, it's up to them. So the
Mm-hmm.
NHL, there's a different team that wins the cup most years. Like the Tampa Bay Lightning,
Yeah.
they won 2 in a row, but then Colorado goes, and then you had Vegas win one, and then last year you got Florida winning. Like, there's different teams that are winning the finals every year, which is fun. And we've had that a good bit over the last 5 years in the NBA as well. But it's kind of the
Yeah.
same teams getting in there into the
Mm-hmm.
cup final or into the NBA finals. So I think it's getting similar to that because you can't go over the cap in the NHL. And if you go over into an apron or into the second apron in the NBA, then you lose tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. The Suns are $188 million in their second
Insane.
apron. Second apron, they have to pay
Insane.
$188 million, I guess, to the NBA. I don't know how that works, and then they're going to start losing picks in the future. And they don't have any picks right now. So
Yeah.
it's like you're mortgaging everything to win right now, and you're not winning. They're 500 right now, or
Yeah.
under
It's going
500.
great.
Yeah, I
I
mean
don't
they're
know.
25-25, I think, is what it is. So
Yeah, they lost last night.
yeah, so maybe they're 25-26. This is like utter disaster if you do it the wrong way this way. But if you do it the right way, like the Celtics did last year, it's like we won a championship. Why does it matter? Like, money doesn't matter if you win the championship with these billionaires. Like, whatever. So it's interesting. Salary dumps are going to happen, and everyone was complaining about the CBA, like in the aprons and everything. Like, well, we're not going to get trades anymore. Well, we weren't really getting huge trades at trade deadlines every season. Like, we were getting
Yeah.
kind of role players or like a starting forward that's going to be like the 4th or 5th guy on a team. Like last year, PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, they come to Dallas, and that was kind of like the biggest trade of the deadline because of what they did after. But beforehand, it was like, oh, why are they doing that? That's weird. But
Yeah.
now everybody's getting traded and everyone's trying to get out of the tax, or like the Mavericks just got out of the first apron with this Luka trade somehow. I don't, because Anthony Davis waived his trade kicker. So that was huge for the Mavericks to get out of the tax, but like not a good trade, but whatever. Like, teams are doing everything to get out of the tax, which is marveling. And the Grizzlies doing it because Marcus Smart can't stay on the court, and then having to attach another pick for Marcus Smart to get out of town. It's a brutal trade for the Grizzlies, and they didn't do anything else, right? Like, that was it.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I think they really wanted Jimmy Butler, and I guess weren't
He
willing
wanted
to.
nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I guess they just were not willing to budge on the extension, and so he just wanted nothing to do with them. Which, fine, whatever. I think stupid on his part as far as like winning goes, but he obviously wanted the money. But yeah, this it makes for interesting stuff for teams like the Thunder and Rockets to just have like all these inexpensive players right now, and
It's
so they
huge.
can just take on this salary and get a couple picks that they can use for a different trade later on. So it's
Yeah.
it's pretty fun for the people who like to keep a close eye on cap and who's going to have how much going into free agency and stuff like that. And my team and other teams, Sam Presti, that real sicko, just gets to keep accumulating assets. And yeah,
Well, they're just
it's
trading
been,
second round picks for the hell of it. Like, they're just sending them to teams for nothing.
yeah, basically.
They're like, we already have too many guys. Like, if we have 10 picks next draft, I can't keep all of them. So we might as well just give them away for free.
Yeah.
last thing before we go, two salary dumps. Your Houston Rockets got Jaden Springer and Cody Zeller, and you immediately cut Jaden Springer. So
Yeah.
congrats on
Yeah,
your
I mean,
back-to-back dig.
those are pretty much just in the notes so we could talk about the big moves that Rafael Stone is making in in South Texas. So, yeah, Rockets fans will be pretty upset about. Some Rockets fans will be pretty upset because they wanted KD, which is ludicrous and ridiculous and totally out of touch with everything the organization's been trying to do. Or they wanted Devin Booker way earlier than he would have even been available, which again, it's a little out of touch. But fan how you want to fan, get mad at people you'll never talk to, and just get it out of your system and then sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
We're gonna take on Cody Zeller's gonna get to sit on the bench or get waived or cut or whatever, and then we're gonna be fine. So it's just funny people complaining about it. Lots of teams did it. Every team that doesn't make a big trade, their fans just like lose their mind.
Yeah. Or you can make the big trade and have
It's
everyone
true.
quit on the team. So, yeah, the Rockets, this was always the wait and see year. Like, see what you've got. And then if you need to make a move in the offseason, you do that in the offseason. If you don't need to make a move and you have playoff success and see a playoff series win, and you're like, all right, we're just riding with this group. We'll fill in around the edges. We'll add in free agency if we need to, like all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
always a wait and see. So, Rockets fans, stop being upset about salary
just
dumps.
chill out, dude. It's not that serious. Brian Windhorst has been saying all year, I do not think the Rockets are going to make a big trade, blah blah blah. It's like just like listen to anyone for once.
You're number 2 in the West. What do you want to do right now? Like the West is
Well,
really hard, and there's some, or maybe you're 3 now because you lose 4 in a row. But
yeah, well, and we're about to lose to the T-Wolves too,
and
which
then you're gonna lose
is
on Saturday too. It'll be great.
I mean, maybe at this rate. I think a big reason for all the frustration is that we're about to be on a 5-game losing streak. And we have 2 starters hurt, one who's playing hurt.
Yeah,
He might be fine now, but he's been playing hurt. And so it's just like this little tornado is all going on at once. So people are like, oh, you've got to make a move or else we suck. And it's like, or, just be patient.
or this shit just happens in the NBA. Like good teams
Yeah.
just lose 3 in a row, 4 in a row, or whatever out of nowhere because they're not playing well, or someone's hurt, or something happens. Like
injury luck. Yeah.
Yeah, it just happens. It is what it is. Like the Mavericks last season were the number 1 team in the clutch. Like they had just a shitload of wins in the clutch. And then this year they can't win a game in the clutch. Like it's miserable and terrible. Like they just couldn't win the first few months of the season. And then you make this trade and it's like all out the window. So yeah, sometimes this happens to NBA teams. Sometimes they just lose games repeatedly. And you're like, why? Why is this happening? But you got All-Star break coming up soon. So hopefully a break gets everybody back healthy and then y'all are back on your merry way or whatever. But like after Saturday, you can start that after Saturday.
Yeah, sure. We'll see. I mean, I do think that will happen. I think it'll give the guys some new juice, and Ime will get to cuss them out the whole break and stuff like that. And so give them new energy. They look tired. Boys look tired. So
yeah, Rockets are fine. Stop panicking. There's no reason to panic yet.
Yeah, we're so fine. I'm just gonna go hate watch the end of this freaking game, and then and I'll get over it.
Yeah. So biggest trade deadline in the history of NBA trade deadlines. So many moves, so many different names, big superstars, super duper stars, and then stars were all traded. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that I don't have to stare at Twitter 12 to 16 hours a day now.
That's right.
Just in panic mode. I can now settle in. Panic mode is over for me, and I can just watch my Mavericks and just hope for the best and be sad about Luka. I can just do that now and not have to panic the whole time, which is good.
That's right.
It's real good. But thank you to our sponsors, Big City Wings, Houston Swing Joint, Paul's Wing Joint. Go check them out today if you're in the Houston area. We've got 14 locations all over Houston, so chances are if you're in Houston, you're near a Big City Wings. And shout out to Zing Zang. Welcome back, Zing Zang. We love your Bloody Mary mix. We love your margarita mix. Go get them wherever you get your drink mixes. You can get them. I get them at the liquor store because it's right there. It's very convenient. It's right when I walk in the door. So shout out to Zing Zang, and shout out to J Bar M Barbecue this Saturday, February 8th. We will be there, the Apollo Media crew. I will be the lone Mavericks fan more than likely, watching the Mavericks versus the Rockets at J Bar M Barbecue at 2:00. So come join, have some good drinks, have some great food over at J Bar M, and have a great time with the Apollo Media crew watching the Rockets and Mavericks game, February 8th, 2 p.m. Be there or be the square. I will be there. I'll be in attendance. I'm making the drive down to either suffer or be happy. I couldn't tell you which one it is going to be, but after Saturday, we will all know how my drive is home to Dallas after the game. So be there. J Bar M Barbecue. We'll be there. Shout out to our sponsors, Sheldon. Thank you for joining me. And listeners, viewers, thank you for watching and listening. We'll be back very, very soon with another Zero Gravity, Apollo Media's NBA podcast.